The alarm klaxons echoed through the command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha, a sound that had never meant anything good. Commander Jake Morrison stood motionless as the lights pulsed red across the chamber, his eyes locked on the incoming transmission. The signal was faint. Distorted. Cracking with static from its journey across 300 light-years of emptiness. And yet, it was undeniably human. Jake had spent 12 long years patrolling the quiet outskirts of the solar system. 12 years watching the stars for threats that never came. In all that time, there had never been a message. Not one. Until now. "Sir," Lieutenant Amy Foster called, her hands dancing over the comms panel. "We're picking up something on the old colonial frequencies." Her voice trembled with the weight of what she was about to say. "It's coming from New Geneva Colony." Jake felt his blood turn cold. New Geneva. One of the first human settlements beyond Earth after the Great Exodus, half a millennium ago. When Earth had lost contact with her colonies, no word had ever come back. The galaxy had decreed humanity too dangerous, too unpredictable. The great alien powers had cut the Sol system off, locking Earth away like a child banished to their room. No ships allowed out. No signals allowed in. For centuries, humanity had been left to wonder, had their children among the stars survived? Thrived? Or perished in silence? The answer now bled through the static in a desperate, fractured voice. "Earth, if anyone is listening, the hegemony has found us. They're taking our worlds, one by one. Our children, they're taking our children for their war machines. Please, we know you're still out there. The colonies are falling." The transmission dissolved into static. Jake's hands shook as he hit record. For the first time in 5 centuries, the silence between Earth and her scattered children had been broken. And the news was worse than anything he had imagined. Within hours, President Lisa Carter stood before the emergency session of the Unified Earth Council. Deep beneath the Swiss Alps, in a chamber carved into the bedrock itself, the full weight of humanity's future gathered in one place. Representatives from every nation. Every military branch. Every corporation that had secretly funded Earth's hidden preparations for 5 long centuries. This was the moment they had been building toward. "The message is confirmed," President Carter's voice carried through the Great Hall. "Our colonies are under attack by a power calling itself the Voran hegemony. They are enslaving our people. They are turning them into soldiers." The words landed heavy, each one a hammer. General Ryan Brooks rose from his seat, tall and scarred from Earth's last alien incursion attempt, 50 years ago. He wore the insignia of the Terran Defense Corps, an organization that officially did not exist in the eyes of the galaxy. "The hegemony has been expanding for the past century," Brooks explained grimly. "Our deep space monitoring posts have tracked their conquests. 17 civilizations have already fallen. Survivors are stripped of free will and implanted with neural control devices, forced to fight as slaves." A murmur rippled through the chamber. "How many ships can we deploy immediately?" President Carter demanded. Brooks's expression was stone. "The Ghost Fleet is ready. 300 vessels. Ships the galaxy believes never existed. We've built and trained for this day since the moment they cut us off." Dr. Alex Turner stepped forward, clutching a data pad. Turner, Earth's most brilliant physicist, had dedicated his life to one obsession: faster-than-light travel without alien dependence. His voice was steady, but his eyes gleamed with quiet triumph. "The new quantum drives are operational. We can reach the colonies in days, not months. The rest of the galaxy still believes FTL requires their jump gate network. They have no idea how far we've surpassed them." The chamber stirred. For the first time in centuries, Earth was not trapped. Humanity had the means to reach out, and to fight back. High above Earth, in the orbital shipyards, Captain Nicole Hayes walked the corridors of her ship, the Earth Defense Ship Reaper. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull was darker than the void itself, absorbing scans and vanishing from sensors. Its weapons were designed to tear through the strongest shields. Its crew had been raised on stories of exile and preparation, trained for a war they had never seen, but had always known would come. Status report, Hayes commanded as she stepped onto the bridge. All systems green, Captain, replied her first officer, Commander Pete Davis. Weapons charged. Quantum drive online. Crew is ready. Hayes looked out at the fleet gathering beyond the viewport. Hundreds of ships, sleek and silent. The culmination of 5 centuries of hidden engineering. Vessels that the galaxy did not believe existed, armed with weapons they had never dreamed possible. Captain, the comms officer called. Orders from command. We're assigned to the first wave. Target, New Geneva. Hayes nodded. Her gaze hardened as she whispered, set course. Time to remind the galaxy. Earth never forgets its children. 300 light-years away, the colony of New Geneva burned. Commander Thar of the Voran hegemony stood in what had once been a proud government building. Now it was a processing center for slaves. His reptilian scales shifted from green to red as he hissed over the latest capture reports. These humans resist less than expected, Thar sneered to his subordinate, a smaller alien with too many eyes. Their technology is crude. Their defense is weak. This sector will be processed within the month. Outside, human children marched in formation. Children. As young as 10. Their eyes were lifeless, hollowed by implants. Their hands clutched rifles too large for their bodies as they were programmed into obedience. Thar's species called it efficiency. Humanity would call it horror. Yet even as Thar gloated, his sensors began to pick up distortions at the edge of the system. Space itself rippled like water disturbed. His technicians dismissed it as natural background anomalies. They had no idea Earth's ghost fleet was arriving. Back on Earth, Admiral Kevin Stone studied tactical feeds aboard the massive battleship EDS Vengeance. Around him, the hum of a fleet readying for war. The hegemony had made one mistake. They assumed Earth was still the same backwater world the Galactic Council had abandoned centuries ago. Admiral, Major Linda Ross reported. All ships confirm readiness. Fleet is in position. Orders. Stone's voice carried across the comms network to every vessel of the Ghost Fleet. This is Admiral Stone. Our children called for help, and we have answered. Today, the galaxy learns humanity has not been idle. Today, they remember why Earth never forgets its own. One by one, the ships vanished into quantum space. Silent shadows cutting through the void. New Geneva would be their first strike. But war never unfolds as planned. Because as the Ghost Fleet prepared its assault, the hegemony began noticing something strange. Their newest conquest, Haven's Edge, had gone completely silent. Commander Thar frowned as reports failed to come through. Send a patrol. Perhaps the humans attempt resistance. Yet when the patrol arrived, they found only wreckage. The garrison obliterated. Slaves gone. Weapons missing. No trace of the enemy. For the first time, Thar felt a flicker of unease. Human shadows were moving in the dark. If you were in Admiral Stone's place, would you reveal Earth's power to the galaxy, or keep it hidden longer? Tell me what you think in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe if you want to see how this story unfolds. Because the next chapter is only just beginning. The Voran hegemony had grown complacent. For over a century, they had devoured worlds with ease. Civilizations fell, one after another, their populations stripped of freedom and turned into soldiers for the Empire's endless conquests. To the Voran, humanity was no different. Just another species to be broken. Just another source of bodies for the machine. They were about to learn how wrong they were. New Geneva Colony. Once a shining jewel of human expansion, now a broken world under alien boots. Slave camps stretched across the continents. Families torn apart. Children marched under foreign banners. Above the planet, Voran ships orbited lazily, their commanders confident in their victory. Sensors were half-powered. Patrols were routine. No one expected resistance. And then, space itself tore open. Admiral Kevin Stone's fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect silence. No fanfare. No warning. 300 warships, black as the void, appearing like wraiths around the planet. On the EDS Vengeance, Stone's eyes scanned the tactical map. Voran ships glowed in red, scattered across orbit, disorganized. Engage stealth protocols, Stone ordered. His voice was calm, almost unnervingly so. Let the Reaper strike first. Captain Nicole Hayes gripped the command chair aboard the EDS Reaper. Her crew moved with precise efficiency, no hesitation. Target acquired, her weapons officer reported. Voran command ship in low orbit. Hayes allowed herself a single breath. This was the moment 5 centuries of hidden preparation had been building toward. Fire. A single beam of energy lanced through the void, brighter than a star. Shields shattered. Armor melted. In less than 3 seconds, the Voran command vessel split apart in silence, a fiery blossom scattering into space. The Voran fleet panicked. Multiple unknown contacts, one alien screamed over open channels. Impossible, how did they? Before he could finish, the ghost fleet revealed itself in full. Hundreds of weapons systems came online simultaneously, their signatures unlike anything the Voran had ever encountered. Rail slugs tore through cruisers. Pulse cannons gutted escorts. Torpedoes ignited carriers like paper lanterns. The hegemony's proud orbital presence lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the only ships left in New Geneva's skies were human. On the ground, enslaved colonists looked up as the alien war machines that had oppressed them suddenly went silent. Camps opened. Implants were cut away. Children, once forced into ranks by Voran programming, blinked in confusion as Earth soldiers removed the devices from their skulls. For the first time in generations, the colonists heard a voice they had thought lost forever. A voice from home. This is the Terran Defense Corps, the broadcast echoed through every city. Stand fast. You are free. Earth remembers you. Men and women wept openly in the streets. Some fell to their knees. Others raised their fists toward the stars. And deep within the ruins of the colony capital, a small girl whispered words passed down from her ancestors. Earth came back for us. But the liberation of New Geneva was not without consequence. The Voran hegemony reeled from the defeat, but their empire stretched across hundreds of systems. To them, New Geneva was just one planet among many. What shook them to their core was not the loss itself, it was the implication. An unknown fleet had appeared from nowhere. A fleet with impossible drives, unmatched weapons, and perfect discipline. A fleet they had never accounted for. Who are they? The Voran overlord demanded from his throne world. His voice was like steel grinding on stone. What species dares defy the hegemony? His ministers scrambled for answers. Some whispered of rogue alien powers. Others speculated about forgotten civilizations. None dared speak the truth. That this was humanity, the very species the Galactic Council had locked away half a millennium ago. If Earth had risen again, then the balance of power across the galaxy was about to shatter. Back on Earth, the unified council faced a choice. General Brooks pushed for immediate escalation. We must strike now, before the hegemony gathers its full force. If we hit their supply lines, their staging worlds, we can cripple them before they even understand what they're facing. But President Carter urged caution. Every move we make reveals more of our strength. The galaxy is watching. If we show too much, too soon, the Council and every empire will turn on us together. Not out of fear of the hegemony, but out of fear of us. In the silence that followed, Dr. Alex Turner spoke. His tone was not military, but deeply human. We need to remember what this is about. Not conquest. Not vengeance. Our people are out there. Families who believed we abandoned them. Children who think Earth forgot. Every operation must bring them home. The council voted. Earth would strike again, but each attack would be calculated, surgical. The Ghost Fleet would not simply fight battles. It would fight to send a message. Humanity was no longer silent. Over the following months, whispers began to spread across the galaxy. Entire Voran garrisons vanished overnight. Slave camps were liberated before reinforcements could even be called. Warships were found drifting, gutted from within by precision boarding teams. The Voran began to call them ghosts. Shadows that struck from nowhere and disappeared without trace. Other species, still under the Council's watchful control, heard rumors of an old name. A name spoken with equal parts awe and fear. Humans. On the bridge of the EDS Reaper, Captain Hayes studied the latest report. Another colony liberated. Another fleet crippled. And yet, unease gnawed at her. Admiral, she said during a secure calm, the Voran are reacting too slowly. Too disorganized. This doesn't feel right. It's as if they're holding back, Stone finished grimly. I've felt it too. Both commanders knew war was never simple. For every victory, there was a counterstroke waiting. And the Voran hegemony, vast and ancient, would not remain silent for long. Already, their fleets were massing. Already, their scientists were dissecting fragments of human technology. Already, the Overlord was plotting his vengeance. And beyond even the Voran's reach, in the shadows of the galactic rim, something older was stirring. Watching. Waiting. If you were Earth's leaders, would you keep fighting in the shadows, or risk revealing yourselves fully to the galaxy? Share your thoughts below, and subscribe if you want to see where this war leads. Because the next chapter may not be against the Voran alone. The Voran hegemony did not take long to answer. For every fleet Earth destroyed, 3 more were forged in the Empire's shipyards. For every colony liberated, a dozen others cried out under the boot. The Ghost Fleet had drawn blood. But now the monster was fully awake. The first great counterstrike came at Vega Prime. Sensors screamed warnings as Voran ships emerged from hyperspace, thousands of them, a tidal wave of steel and fire. It was the largest fleet humanity had ever faced, outnumbering them 20-1. On the bridge of the EDS Vengeance, Admiral Stone stood tall, his jaw set like iron. They think numbers will save them, he murmured. Let's teach them what it means to fight humans. The trap was already in place. As the Voran armada advanced, Earth's hidden satellites, buried in Vega's asteroid belt for decades, awoke. Entire swarms of autonomous drones ignited, their drives screaming as they hurled themselves into the enemy formation. The void became chaos. Ships collided. Formations broke. Human rail slugs carved through exposed flanks. The Voran had expected prey. Instead, they found predators. Hours later, when the smoke cleared, half the enemy fleet was gone. The rest limped away in disarray. Humanity had survived the impossible. Again. But even in victory, unease lingered. The Voran had resources to burn. They could lose fleets, lose planets, and still recover. Humanity, hidden and scattered, could not. We're winning battles, Captain Hayes admitted, but not the war. At this pace, they'll drown us in sheer numbers. Admiral Stone nodded grimly. Then we'll need an ally, or a miracle. The miracle came, though not as anyone expected. It arrived in the form of the Harari. For centuries, this enigmatic race had remained neutral, silent observers at the edge of galactic politics. They neither fought nor submitted. Many dismissed them as irrelevant. But now, a Harari envoy stood before Earth's council. "You believe the Voron are your greatest threat," the envoy said, its voice a strange chorus of layered tones. "But you are mistaken. The architects are awakening." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Dr. Alex Turner leaned forward, his voice steady. "Architects? Who are they?" The Harari's eyes shimmered with an unearthly light. "They are the ones who built the frameworks of your galaxy. The silent engineers of the stars. Long before the Voron, long before the Council, the architects shaped empires and then erased them. Entire civilizations, wiped clean when they no longer served the design." A murmur swept through the chamber. Some scoffed. Others paled. "Why warn us now?" President Carter asked cautiously. "Because," the Harari answered, "your war has awakened them. Your return has disrupted their design. And when the architects move, nothing survives." Not long after, the first signs appeared. Voron fleets, dispatched to crush human enclaves, simply vanished mid-transit. Planets long enslaved were found emptied, cities reduced to glass, populations erased as if they had never existed. At first, the Voron thought it was human sabotage. But soon, even they began to tremble. And then, the galaxy saw it. A ship, not built, but grown. Vast and organic, kilometers long, with geometry that hurt the eye to stare at. It drifted silently into a system on the galactic rim, and within hours, every artificial construct within that system simply ceased to function. Engines died. Weapons went cold. Data dissolved into static. The Voron fired everything they had. Nothing touched it. The architects had returned. Back on Earth, the council met in hushed urgency. General Brooks was furious. "We can't fight that. Not with anything we have. If these architects can erase civilizations, then our war with the Voron is meaningless." Admiral Stone remained calm. "Nothing is invincible. If they can destroy, they can be resisted." But Dr. Turner shook his head. "The Harari didn't bring us a solution. They brought us a truth. The question isn't whether we can fight the architects, it's whether we deserve to survive them." The room fell into silence. In the months that followed, humanity fought on two fronts. Against the Voron, the Ghost Fleet continued its surgical strikes, liberating colonies, rescuing the enslaved, inspiring rebellion. But in the shadows, Earth scientists began desperately studying the fragments left behind by the architects' passing. Strange alloys. Impossible energies. Signals buried in quantum noise. Patterns emerged. Designs hidden within designs. And some began to wonder, what if humanity was not outside the architect's plan, but part of it? On the bridge of the EDS Reaper, Captain Hayes gazed into the stars. "Do you ever think about it?" she asked quietly. Her second-in-command frowned. "Think about what? What happens if we win? If we defeat the Voron? If we somehow stand against the architects? What then?" The silence stretched. Finally, Hayes whispered. "Maybe the question isn't what we'll do when we win, but what kind of people we'll be when we lose." And so, the galaxy trembled. The Voron hegemony, once unstoppable, now fought desperately to hold its grip. The Ghost Fleet, humanity's silent blade, struck again and again, a symbol of defiance. And in the darkness beyond, the architects stirred, vast, unknowable, patient. For 500,000 years, humanity had been forgotten. Now, they had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same again. If humanity truly faced a power like the architects, something beyond empires, beyond war, what choice should we make? Fight to survive at any cost, or accept that some battles cannot be won? Let me know in the comments. And if you followed this journey from part 1 to now, thank you. Humanity's story isn't over. It's only just beginning.